Am I the a-hole for refusing to do anything while my ex has his custody time? Reposted as people said I needed to format better. This is long, so I'll try to keep to just the important things. My soon-to-be ex-husband and I were together for 15 years. We lived together for 10 before getting married and have 2 children together, 14, F, and 12, F. I have a daughter from my first marriage, 22, F, and he has a son from his first marriage, 21, M, who we no longer have contact with as he hates his father. So on to the story. My ex, who I will call Nick for this story, is an a-hole. I found out last year that he had multiple affairs, starting 1 year into our relationship when I was pregnant with our first child. This included people I knew and my former best friend. They slept together more than once, and then both hid it from me for over a decade. She only confessed after I told her that I could no longer ignore my gut and was digging into our past/relationship. At that point, we had no sex life at all for the last 10 years. He had taken a new job where he traveled for weeks at a time and was generally shady. For example, he once told me he was going to unplug the phone in his hotel room because he had gotten a call by mistake the night before and didn't want to be woken up. So if I needed to call him, I should use his cell, not his room phone. In the 2 years he'd been traveling at that point, I had never once called his room. There were also stories about helping some lady move or going places with the guys on his crew, and when I'd ask about it a few weeks later, he didn't know what I was talking about. The thing that finally took my blinders off was when I had to have a hysterectomy because of precancerous cells. My doctor explained that I am part of a small population of women that, when exposed to HPV, it can become those cells. I couldn't understand how that happened, as I could count my sexual partners on one finger over the last decade and a half. That was when I started digging and confronted him. I told him I could not even consider trying to work on anything until he told me just how many times, and well, he sent a list. Yes, a fucking list with places and things like Oklahoma, blow job outside bar, don't know her name. I was horrified. I said I was done. That's it. No more. He begged for about 2 weeks, and then was dating some girl he met on Snapchat while in Hawaii for work. Yep, less than 30 days later, he was telling my oldest how he stopped talking to all the other women cause this one was special. Anyway, the job in Hawaii ends, and he asks if he can please spend a week in our guest room to spend time with the girls, the ones we share together. He had been gone 11 months at this point, and besides 2 short visits, him here once and us there once, he hadn't seen them. He tells me it will only be a week, and then he will go to another job site out of state. We are separated, but not yet divorced. We agreed to continue to share the household bills, so the girls' lives wouldn't be disrupted until I finish a program I'm in, at which point I can manage alone. That week is now a month plus, as the next site won't be ready for a few more weeks. I should mention, when he first asked, he promised to do all the cooking and cleaning as a thank you and to give me a break. I should note, he did none of that when we were married, not without throwing a tantrum like a toddler. Even when our children were young and his son lived with us then, and I worked full-time and was doing a master's program, if I asked for any help, he would stomp and complain or tell me he would help, and then when I wasn't there yell at my oldest to do more. So he is in my guest room, and it's been 2 weeks so far. I refuse to do anything. I go to work, come home, make myself food, and stay in my room. I told him, since he is here longer, he can think of this as his shared custody time for the summer break. Now he is upset, saying he has to sometimes work remotely or be on meeting calls, and it's unfair that I won't cook at all. I reminded him that I do that every day, plus school. He thinks I'm being an a-hole since he doesn't know how to make much outside of grilling. Truth is, I don't really care if I am being the a-hole. And before the comments start, while we are okay financially, we would not be able to afford a hotel for him for that long. Believe me, I'd much rather that. I guess really this is just a story to vent, as I don't have many people to talk to about this. Part of me does feel bad, and thinks maybe for my daughters I should do some things. But the other part says nah, like that little bitch can cook and clean for all those years he never helped. So, am I the a-hole?